Picture this. A quiet little town in the hills of West Virginia. The year is 1897, and a woman has just died under mysterious circumstances. But it's what happens after her death that makes this story leave its mark on history. This is the Greenbrier Ghost. Hello everybody, my name is Chaos Cass and welcome to our very first episode of Creative Creeps. Today we are making a perler bead Hello Kitty dressed up as Freddy Fazbear. We're probably also going to make the whole gang at some point, so subscribe if you'd like to see that. Without further ado though, let's get into the craft. Our story starts with 24-year-old Elva Zona Hester. She preferred to go by Zona, so that's who I'll be referring to her as, and she was getting married to Erasmus Stribling Trout Shoe.
Okay.
He goes by Edward for the sake of this story. He's referred to Edward several times in all the articles I read, so that's what we're going to call him. Edward was a convicted criminal. I'm not sure if Zona knew this at the time, nor am I sure if her mother did either, and you'll see why that's important in a second. But yes, Edward did have a criminal record. He did serve 2 years in a state penitentiary for stealing a horse. 1897. Wild time. He was also twice previously married. His first wife previously divorced him as he apparently abandoned her and her child. And the second wife, get this, the second wife died when he accidentally dropped a brick on her head while making repairs to the roof of their house. A brick. How do you accidentally drop a brick on somebody's head? That's insane. Now, by the time that Zona met Edward, he was a blacksmith in their town. Anyway, Zona and Edward meet and they fall in love, but unbeknownst, or will become known to Zona, Mary, her mother, very much disapproved of Edward. She just did not like him. Now, since this is an older story, it is a bit unclear if Mary knew of Edward's past and his criminal record and maybe his 2 previously failed marriages. Not that I'm judging getting divorced or having multiple marriages, but I think for Edward here, it was just like maybe a sign. But still, with the disapproval from her mother, Zona and Edward had to elope in October 1896. For her wedding, Zona wore a high-collared, beautiful burgundy dress. However, that happiness would not be long-lived as their honeymoon was cut short just 3 months after the marriage. Why, you may ask? Well, that's because a neighbor boy found Zona dead in her home. On the morning of her death, Edward supposedly left his blacksmith shop to ask a neighbor boy to run down to their house and ask Zona if she would like anything from the shops. And that is when the boy found her. I just think that is so devastating. A child just going to ask Zona if she would like anything from the store and he actually just sees a dead body instead. I would say that the 1800s is a wild time, but I'm sure there are recent stories that are semi-similar, so. The local physician, Dr. George W. Knapp, was summoned, and although he noted some light bruising around Zona's neck, he attributed her death to everlasting faint. This was a term popularly used at the time to describe a sudden death from unknown causes. So basically, we don't know, but she's dead. However, after Dr. Knapp was unsuccessful in reviving Zona, Edward requested him to make no further examinations of the body and helped dress her body as well. Infuriatingly enough, he chose to dress Zona in her wedding gown, which was that high-collared burgundy dress. I wonder why he wanted a high collar. He also chose a very large veil folded several times with a very large bow at her chin. And since this is the way that the body was dressed for the funeral, it was reported several times that Zona's head appeared to not be able to support itself, and it was very loose on the neck and would drop to the side if unsupported. But no charges were pressed and there was no investigation open, as again, the doctor attributed Zona's death to unexplained faint. Zona's mother, Mary, then reported to have some very strange dreams. In one dream, Zona reportedly told her mother that Edward had become enraged at Zona because she hadn't cooked any meat for supper. And in another dream, Zona reportedly told her mother that her neck was squeezed off at the first joint. As you can imagine, Mary was deeply disturbed by these dreams. I mean, she is still grieving the death of her daughter, and now that daughter is supposedly appearing in these dreams, begging with her mother and telling her, "I was murdered," and by her husband no less. So Mary then went to the county's prosecuting attorney's office and explained the dreams that she had been having. And believe it or not, he actually listened to her. I'm just a little bit surprised about that because could you imagine? "Hey, county prosecuting officer, you know how my daughter died a couple days ago?" "Well, yes, I do. I've been having dreams about her, and she's telling me she was killed. Murdered." "Yep." "Well, for heaven's sake, I better look into this." I swear I'll get better at voices. I just thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, so the county prosecuting attorney did not dismiss Mary's claims, but instead listened to her and asked who else would have information about Zona's death. And you bet the first name she gave was Dr. George W. Knapp, the local physician that had examined Zona's body when she was pronounced dead. And let me tell you, Dr. Knapp was not keeping secrets, okay? He told the prosecuting attorney all the weird things with Zona's neck and then Edward's kind of prevention with the body. How Zona had indeed not been fully examined before she was buried. After hearing this, the attorney ordered that Zona's body be exhumed and have a proper autopsy performed on it. The autopsy confirmed what Mary had heard in her dreams. Zona's neck was broken and her windpipe was crushed. And with these findings, that was enough to go ahead and arrest Edward and put him on trial for Zona's murder. During the trial, Mary was actually put on the stand and she told the jury her dreams. She talked about how her dead daughter had come to her sobbing, telling her how Edward had done this. It only took the jury about an hour to decide, and they found Edward guilty of first-degree murder. Period, because he was. Edward was then sentenced to the state penitentiary for the rest of his life. Though Edward's sentence was cut short as he died only 3 years after being sentenced due to a flu epidemic. All I gotta say is I hope his throat hurt. And it was also said that no one from his family, or anybody for that matter, came to collect his body. And that is the story of the Greenbrier Ghost, a woman who was murdered and came back from the other side to convict her killer. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think that Zona did really come back from the grave to put her killer behind bars? Or did mom kind of know that something was up and she was murdered by her husband? Personally, I believe that Zona did come back and she did see her mom in her dreams. Dreams are known to be kind of portals between here and the other side. And I think, especially so soon after her death, and with it being a tragic one, I definitely think she still stuck around. And she went back to the only person who could help her. Her mom. I just hope that Zona felt peace in the end, and that she was able to say goodbye to her mom. Alright, let me finish ironing this, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, this is the final craft. Let's see if I can zoom in on that.
Nice.
I think it is so adorable, and I'm gonna put it up on my wall. I can't wait. I'm very excited to have the whole collection, but I will have to put a book on top of her so she can just lay flat for a moment. If you like that craft, I am going to have the inspo post from Pinterest tagged in my bio. Please go support the original creator. I do also notice that they have their Etsy shop link in their bio, so if you would like one of these perler creations but cannot create yourself, please go support the original creator and maybe take a commission from them. But that is all for our episode today. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up. It makes me know what you guys want to see more in the future. And until next time, stay crafty. Bye!